Actually, it's a great honor, actually. Being in front of the house, I don't speak much. And I can hear all your tongue rumbling, and I'll be very quick. Like a service is always been good when it's quick. 50 years ago, when I started my career as a waiter in the restaurant, I mean, I was come from Padua, which is the region of Venice, if you like. And I was the catering school of Abano Terme. And my mentors was one of the best maître d' there was in the region. He was a maître d' which was the butlers of Juan Perón of Argentina. And he was my mentor at the catering school. And they always said, service is an art. And what I want to talk about is des arts de la table. 50 years ago when I started, I mean, the master of the house was not the chef, it was the maître d'. You never saw the chef. The chef always been on the background. They were, from the kitchen, they were sending big dishes with the meat and the vegetables. Usually you had 2 or 3 vegetables, meat, and you were serving from a guéridon. You were putting the food down into the plate, always, if you like, 6 o'clock, the fish and meat, and on top, either 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 2 o'clock, there were the 2 or 3 vegetables which they were done. So that was what was the service. And sometimes if the chef would, the customers would order the same dish, they would send the same dish cooked together, the chef. So it was the job of the waiter to go in front and carving them and carve whatever he was given. And that was what the meat was done. And then you had also the other way to serve the service, which we call a service à l'anglaise or silver service. The chef would send, again, prepare for whatever they were, 4 or 5, the food and so on, and you were with the clips going around from the left-hand side and so on, and you were doing that. And that was always the majority of the case. And then you had to prepare, the beef. You're carving a joint of beef. You were disjointing a chicken. I got to choose the word, since I heard the lecture before from the professor, not to use the same, carving a chicken, or dissection a chicken. So I got to choose the word. And you were deboning a fish and preparing all those sort of things. That was a craft which you had to do in front of the customers. And those had to be skillful. In certain restaurants, also you had the chef coming into the restaurant at that time. Big trolley, silver trolley were coming, big joint of beef or lamb, which they were changing every day according to the day of the week. And the chef, which were called chef trancheur, would come and carve in front, and you had the service of the trolley. And those ones were called des arts de la table. That's what were all des arts de la table. The preparing a crepe Suzette. More important was the customer. More you would put brandy, and the flame were going up, and the customers were happy. All the circle of the front of the house, and that was little. But little by little, those skills went out of the window, unfortunately, and that coincided with a very fashionable chef which arrived at that time. Those chefs was still of them are around. I mean, I've got my dear friend, Mr. Sanderens, which is around there, and that was the region of the middle of the 70s, the Bocuse, the Trois Gros, like I mentioned before, Giraldin, Michel Gerard. All those ones were and that was the beginning of the Nouvelle Cuisine. So what they did, actually, is little by little start plating and preparing plate like that. And from that has changed completely the nature of service. The waiter become, they lost their skill. They become plate carrier, as simple as that. Which is, was it a good reason or not reason? Is because that arrived, I don't know. Was it because there was no more skilled waiter? And was it because the chef realized that the food would look much better on the plate than it being spoiled by the waiter in front of the customer? Sometimes that's, sometimes you got to think about that. So the fact is that carving, the flambé, and so on, that went out from the crêpe Suzette went out from the menus completely. They disappeared. There is no more. Those dishes, I mean, it's very, very unusual that you find any restaurant, modern restaurant nowadays, which you will see carving, few carvings still happen, but I mean, more flambé and so on, they disappear completely. That decade changed completely the job description of the waiter, completely, day and night. That was the palaces where those work were done into London, Paris. Maxime in Paris was the best, actually, of those things. But those places, little by little, disappear. And they were supplemented by chef patron. That's what commanded. And the chef started to be in the restaurant. And that's changed. No more carving, no more flambé. All that went, out of the world. So, that's a very, very different change of service. And service is changing completely even now. I mean, if you look at it, what was impressed me more and more, and I saw that at Noma the other day, there's a lot of chefs going in front of the customers, which is fantastic. I think, there is no better person to explain what's going on into the dish than the chef who has prepared the dish. That's for me is a new generation of service which is starting. We've been stagnating, if you like, for the last 30 years on service. And that's I welcome it very heartily, full-heartedly, because, even for us waiters, which know about the bit of the kitchen, but we don't know exactly how the plate and the dish is prepared. So that's a fantastic welcome to see that. But how do you describe service? Now a question for you. Can you visualize service? Can you describe, can you take a picture of service? You cannot. You cannot. For the chef it's very easy. You can prepare, you see an omelette, you can take a picture, you can take a bite, you can taste it, you got a recipe before. That's fantastic. But can you take a picture of a good service? I don't know. I don't think there is. What it is the most important is you can only see the service when it's missing it. And that's the point you see, the service, exactly the point you see when it's missing. When you go to a busy restaurant, sometimes you feel frustrated. You see, the waiter is not looking at you. Is maybe looking at the sky and contemplating, or looking at the floor, and then you got the customers clipping his hand, and the waiter says he's rude. No, he's not rude. He wants attention. He want the waiter to look at him, not to look at the floor, not to look at the ceiling. He want attention. That's what is got to be service. And that's also the majority of what you would call journalists who write about service. And I got to give a little bit of go at them, because they always write when the service is missing. They seldom. Seldom they write when the service is perfect, because they don't see it. The best service in a restaurant is a service that you don't notice. That's what should be service. The story of the invisible waiter. The waiter should be invisible. You should, when you go into the restaurant, you should be asked if you want a drink. Say hello to you, good welcome, fantastic welcome. The best welcome I had was the other day when I went in at Noma. All the chef, all the waiter were in front of you, welcoming the people. What a beautiful welcome! Thank you again. That's what it is. And you don't see that So when you go to a restaurant, you're going through the sequence. You want to be given a drink, you want to be given the menu, somebody will take in the order, giving you food and wine to be served, and giving the bill when you ask for, and that's it. What you want is all that with a fantastic and sincere approach to welcoming the people. That's what you want. That's what his service is. That's what is the craft. The proper service in a restaurant is the attention the waiter gives it to you. The eye attention which you can put. That's as I mentioned before. That's you should look at the customer. You should not look at the sky and so on. Those are the attention which you got to do. When you need, when a waiter look at you and you see that you don't have any more bread, and he bring you the bread even before you ask for it. When you see your glass is almost empty, to go and refill it, and not to overfill it as well, because that's bad service as well. Have you ever see also the waiters sometimes they don't have anything to do, so what they come around and filling up your full glass of wine already. So that's not service for me. They stay away. That's what you want. You want the real good service which you got, and that's what you got. The waiter will know when. The discretion of the waiter, to know when to start a conversation, when to stop a conversation. That's to stop a conversation is even more important. It's not to start a conversation. You want a guy. You want a guy which says, yes, I want to talk to the customers, but I got all the customers talking, which need to be served. So you need to have that rapport. And sometimes, when you got a table of 2, and you got a waiter go and talk to them, that's fine. When you got a table of 4, you don't want to talk to the waiter, you want to talk to your friends. So, that's it. Can you leave us alone, please? That's what is service. That's always, I said, a silent waiter. That's what it should be. That's what is, for me, the most important. So, those are what we call the new art of service now. Before you had the people carving and so on. Now you want those silent things which you need. That's what you got, the invisible art of service. That's a good waiter should know, obviously, what kind of food he's preparing and politely describe it to the chef. Yes, that's very important. The waiter is another thing which I always want to say, that the waiter is the chef ambassador. The waiter should be the one which conveys the chef philosophy to the customers without patronizing the customer sometimes as well. Huh? Because then you got the chef which has got big ego and tell the waiter, tell them that. And the poor people, hey, leave us alone. I've ordered my food. I know what I'm ordering. Don't try to bother me more than that, please. I know I ordered a steak. You give me a steak. And again, chef, he's the chef with a steak. You got a steak. Yes, I know I got a steak. And so what? Give it to me. I'm going to eat it. So, that's what it is. There are now modern chefs which employ psychologists to talk to the staff because they're going to approach the customers, which is fantastic. So, more or less now the waiter got to be a good psychologist as well, actually, to those things. So that's more or less. So what we should ask now to all those powerful chefs which are the visual point of the cooking now, they're all fantastic, beautiful chefs. What we got to ask them, can they please invest a little bit into the service? Can the waiter, when they arrive the first week, instead of sending them in front of the customers, can they take them behind and show them what is the food? What is the poor people? They're going in front of the customer sometimes with 2 plates, and they're like that. They don't even know, and they jump them and say, "Oh my God, I got bad waiter." Have you ever thought about training them a bit? Have you ever thought about giving them a bit of training in the kitchen? Those are. and then they say, we don't have any more waiter. Yes, of course, you don't give them a job anymore. And that's it. So you don't spend your time to teach them anymore. And that's what it is. We got to be, I don't say we got to be patient, but we got to go through those process of teaching them what is the food, what is the wine. Send them to a vineyard to know how the wine is prepared, to know how the wine look, how it tastes, how it smells, so they can convey. Sit them down and taste your produce with the waiter. And they say, well, this is the combination of the wine, go with it, and so on. I know that's a lot of professionals, and I got a lot of respect with you, do that. But what we would like to have, all the mass doing that, and doing that. By doing that, you will have again waiters. You will have again that. And, that's very, very important. And, having said that, for me, the best way to retain the waiter is paying them well is very important, but give them knowledge. Give them knowledge. You got to wait. And the old time we always to say, if you don't pay them enough, at least give them a job. That's when they go out from that place, they can go and learn the job somewhere else. And that's what it is. And my real plea for the chef who always say they don't find any chef. Yes, what you got to do is respecting them, teaching them well, feeding them well is very important. How many restaurants do they here? How many waiters of top restaurants do they here? My God, we're serving fantastic food, but our food is terrible. And that doesn't take much. Doesn't take much for the chef to prepare those food. And you got to think that if you got happy staff, you got to have happy customers. If the customers, you see it on the face, on certain time you go to restaurant and you see the guy don't want to talk because they worry to be judged, to make a mistake, and they are not flourishing themselves. If they are properly fed and they are properly, they will go and they will be happy to do their job. So as I said, the 4 rules is respecting them, teaching them well, feeding them well, and pay them properly. That's also very important. So that's the 4 quality which you have for a service. And as I said, that's the waiter will be your ambassadors. And they will be your ambassador forever. I was lucky enough, and I spent all my, apart few years before I arrived to London, but I spent something like 40 years now still working for the same owner, the same family, which is fantastic. And I'm retired now and they still pay me, which is very nice. That's very good. And the retaining staff is very, very important. And when you got customers, when they go inside the premises and they recognize one person is fantastic. One top celebrity, one day I was talking to him and he was coming to me a lot of time. I said to him, what do you think is your best restaurant for you? He said, look, I go here, I go there, but my best restaurant for me is the restaurant which I'm recognized. So when your customers, your regular customers are coming in, you recognize them, and the people which you don't know, but try to make them regular. That's what got to be the skillful of the staff. Try to make your guest regular to come back. Most of the time, if the service is not good, the guests are not coming back. If the restaurant they got very good food, and the front of the house is not nice, the people are not coming back. The majority, they want to be welcome. They don't want to have a fight. They want to have a good food and good entertainment, a good service. Hospitality, that's what we got to teach our dear young waiter. And with that, thank you very much for listening to me. you.